Welcome to Pound for Pound ATL, arguably the best place to get facts and opinions on your Atlanta Falcons. And absolutely the best place to get your opinions in. The conversation starts now.
What's going on, football fans? It's me, J.R. Clark, back again with another Pound for Pound ATL Live. As always, I'm joined by my main man, Toby D. Toby, what's going on, brother?
Man, I ain't even finna play around with JR. I got to shout my guy out early, man. I already told you this is going to have to be a guy I'm going to have to be wrong on, and I'm going to ride until the wheels fall off. Jared Bernhardt is making a case for himself. Number 83 is doing it, man. What's going on?
Oh, man, dude, number 83 needs to, stand up, take his hat off, take a bow. I see some people talking about, he's going to shoe in for a practice squad. I almost don't think you can stash him on a practice squad. I think he's
at this point.
I think he's too good to be stashing him on a practice squad. I mean, back-to-back weeks, he's making plays even in practice. Against Sauce Gardner, catching touchdown passes, and just looks to be very in sync with what the coaches want him to do. I mean, we already know the guy is just an outstanding athlete. The best lacrosse player in the country. It's reminded me, I don't know how many of y'all, I went through a phase in life where I was reading a lot of fiction books, and I got on to this book series that was, it was the Mitch Rapp series, and it was about this guy who was trained to be an assassin by the, spooky government and all this other jazz. It was just a real, action book, right? The only reason why I bring this guy up is because when he's getting recruited in the, for this program, they're all what makes this guy special? And they pointed out the fact that he was an elite athlete and he was an elite lacrosse player, which is why this ties in with Bernhardt, and so that's what I think of when I see, every time they bring up Bernhardt and the fact that, he was the best lacrosse player in America. I was like, yeah, he's that cold, quiet assassin,
Yeah, boy, his confidence is out the roof. And I mean, this week he even played a lot more snaps and was confident in catching that football, hands catching.
Oh, yeah.
What you need him to do, running the routes you want to run. It was just great to see, man. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah. He could be, to me, I think I'm going to steal a line from our good buddy Damsky talking about it could be our, Julian Edelman, kind of guy. Just an absolute athlete who comes in and runs those slot receiver routes to perfection. Just finds a way to get open. And speaking of getting open, man, Arthur Smith for a preseason, he's been in his bag all preseason. Yeah. He ain't trying to necessarily be vanilla. I think he's trying to use the preseason for what a lot of us want people, coaches using for. Let's try out stuff. Let's see what it actually looks like in game. I can't tell you the last time in a professional football game I saw a full house formation. And, I saw it with Mariota and with Ridder. So, this is something that they're, working on trying to install as part. It looks like somebody went and found the, offensive manual for the pistol formation, and they're just putting it all in.
Yeah, they went over to Baltimore Ravens.
That's right.
That's where they went at, because this is what Lamar Jackson them do. Those diamond looks, those pistol looks. This is stuff they do, where they like to hide the fullback in the middle so they can disguise. You don't know which way they're going. That's why they run these pistols and things like that, so they can disguise and make what they're doing unpredictable. So, yeah, they don't implement some of that stuff. And then you got to remember, Dwayne Ledford also was an offensive coordinator. Now, not necessarily when Lamar was at Louisville, but he offensive coordinated there. And that playbook traveled down from Lamar Jackson to what I'm sure he had in his hands calling, and they can implement a lot of that stuff, man. All them guys working together to get the best offensive plan for Marcus and Ridder. So far, looking good.
Yeah, it is definitely showing up well. Like I get it. Like, man, why are y'all so optimistic, so to speak, when the team lost last night? Look, before they put in the deep thirds, we were winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you pull out, honestly, look at it like this from this perspective. You pulled Ridder about midway through the third quarter, about the time it started raining. Okay?
Yep.
So, when it started raining, they're like, okay, no reason to be getting our guy hurt in conditions that are getting worse. So, you take the guy who you've been all offseason, all training camp, been basically training as a tight end, and say, hey, dude, go ahead and, finish out the rest of this game at quarterback. Like, in that aspect, you were done looking at everything. You can't tell me you weren't. Like, from that third quarter on, that resembled the fourth preseason games of yesteryear.
Yeah.
Like, you put in, like, all your deep guys as far as your offensive linemen go. You had, Justin Schaefer out there. You had guys that, ain't going to be on the team after next week out there. Like, that's pretty much what it was third quarter on, or like, halfway through the third on. So, the fact that that's when they gave up and lost the game, so what? Not really even concerned about that. Some of the other guys that has stood out to me was your boy D. Alford keeps making a name for himself. I mean, we act like it's a shock, but if I'm not mistaken, last year he led the CFL in interceptions. And he was one of the better corners in the CFL. So it shouldn't be that big of a shock, but it is nice to see him, creeping up and getting into the, first team play. I even think he overtook Mike Ford in as far as the nickel position goes.
Yeah, and rightfully so. Mike Ford has started to struggle. He has not been a guy that looks like he's ready for the field right now at this point. And you need to give D. Alford all the opportunities you can give him, man. This guy can play. It's showing he can play pretty much anywhere on the field.
Right.
Left, right, slot. It don't matter where you put him. He can play it for you.
Exactly. And I think he's a guy that at the end of the day, he's going to make this roster.
Yeah.
Like, I know I put out my 53 last weekend, somewhat premature in a way. And like, I think I even said in that video, subject to change. Like, I definitely have D. Alford penciled in that 53. And I have, man, depending on how many wide receivers they want to carry, there's going to be interesting to see how that ends up shaking out. Like, do you try to stash Darby on the practice squad? Do you try to stash Bernhardt on the practice squad? What do you do with Cameron Batson, who has shown some flashes, but not a ton? I think your starters obviously are Brian Edwards, Drake London, and Lamine Zaccheaus. So you got that 4th, 5th / 6th spot. So it's going to be interesting to see like who ends up taking up those last 2 spots, because you got a handful of guys with Cordero Hodge, Demir Bird, Frank Darby, and Jared Bernhardt.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now. I don't know if I told you, but guys, that was one of the best 53-man roster projection videos I've seen.
Well, thank you.
I really enjoyed how you laid that out and had the players laid out to show the players that you feel they're gonna make this roster, guys. And I'm not just being biased. You might think I am because that's my guy, but I really love that video, man. Y'all need to go and watch it. Almost 2,000 views. That so apparently others.
It was really interesting because we always give out our Twitter handles and stuff like that, and we encourage y'all to follow us. And part of the reason why is because, like, I'll get a wild hair and I'll throw out a poll that y'all can like vote on what we do, whether it be on the YouTube channel itself or on Twitter. And I put out a poll on both Twitter and YouTube asking what people wanted to see, and I was fully prepared to do like a full-on breakdown of like bunch sets and that type of schematic stuff. And buying away, everybody wanted to see a 53-man roster projection. So, hey, man, you give the people what they want in that aspect. And that's what we did. And it was a lot of fun. I had fun, making that video and making those little slides, and may have to do one more like real final. I don't know. We might get you to do one or something. We'll figure it out. But
yeah.
All right. Now I will say this. As like one of the concerns that I had last week after the Detroit game was how much Marcus was running. And that like worried me in the sense of like the offense can't just run through his legs,
Right.
And I wanted to see him throw more, and it's almost like they watched the show or something, because that's what we got, this week.
Yeah.
We got, I'm going to get the stats pulled up here. I thought I had them. Y'all have to forgive me. I thought I had it all set and ready to go, but I am slacking, my man. Let's see. And stats. Y'all think I just remember this stuff all the time. All right. Mariota was 6 for 10 for 132 yards with a touchdown. That's pretty good for, a quarter of work?
Yeah.
So, I mean, they were taking some real nice chunk plays. I mean, come out the gate with a 54-yard, pass to Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like I was coming off the practice field with the 8th grade squad, and the coaches were asking me, I was like, oh yeah, I got to hurry and get home so I can, catch up on this Falcons game. They're like, how are they doing? And I, like, somebody had already posted it. I was like, here, check this out. And I showed it to him. I said, now remember, that's a tight end running. He's like, good Lord, that is just a freak of nature.
Yeah. Man, it was interesting. I don't know if you saw the stats where they were showing how Kyle Pitts lined up. Over 500 plus snaps as wide receiver.
Well, it's because you had nobody last year.
Yeah, but I don't see that changing, JR. I really don't.
Well,
I don't see that changing at all.
I will say this. If they don't want to pay him as a wide receiver, it's going to have to change.
I think they're going to end up paying him as well. I think he's going to be the first tight end to make a strong case, when it's time to get wide receiver money, Doc.
If they keep those kind of splits up, they're going to have to. I mean, seriously. Yeah. Like if they split him out wide more than they bring him in line, I mean, you're right. He could be the first one to really start securing a payment as a positionless player.
Yeah.
And, we've talked about that over the offseason, the concepts of a positionless player, and you're seeing it like come to fruition in this offense for sure. Like I saw last night, I was interested to see they got Keith Smith working back in the, in the group last night. You saw him out there a lot. He lined up quite a bit in line, and then he would motion into the backfield.
Right.
And you saw with him in that, that full house or that diamond formation, being either the lead blocker. So it's really interesting for all those people who were worried about Arthur Smith being like vanilla last year in his play calling. I don't think you're not getting that at all this year.
They are trashing that.
Yeah, that narrative is dead, in my opinion.
They're killing that. And I was so happy because the real Arthur Smith showed up last night. Guys streaking through the defense wide open. This is the Arthur Smith we're used to.
Right.
This is the Arthur Smith you talked about. Penalty, so what? It's a 2nd and 20, and you just erase that with a big chunk play by Bernhardt. This is stuff I'm used to seeing Arthur Smith do, especially on 2nd down, calling, explosive pass plays on 2nd down.
Well, and also, like, you're calling explosive pass plays on 2nd down out of heavy run formations. This is the part that, when we were profiling Smith, 2 years ago now, that we were really keying in on was the fact that how much he was throwing out of heavy formations and really keeping people like guessing and keeping folks off guard as far as what he was doing. When you're able to, flex out a guy like Cordell Patterson, You go from him being in the backfield to him being in the slot. And, you especially if you're going to start running, Cordell out there with multiple tight ends, and you don't know where the ball is going and who it's going to. And that's the point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now let's kind of move into a little bit here before we close up this opening salvo and get into the chat, which is already kind of popping off as we kind of expected it to be. I will say this, Ridder looked pretty good as well last night. He was much more consistent, 10 for 13 for 143 yards. No touchdowns, but no interceptions. But he looked to be very much in command of the offense. They seem to be tailoring things to make it easier for him. Somebody pointed out on Twitter, either the last night or this morning, they're running a lot more dagger concepts, which is something that he ran at Cincinnati. So, and I've seen that it's not a bunch set, it's that stack. That two receiver stack set. They've been running that. They ran that quite a bit last night, and got to it in a lot of different ways.
Right.
All in trying to make it easier for Ridder to see what's going on, the reads that he needs to make, and you see him playing with that confidence and really step in and driving that ball.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, and I tweeted this, Ridder has got to be the best model there is to model everything that Arthur Smith and Marcus Mariota wants to do for the year. Like, you can't ask for a better quarterback to come in there and model all those plays, that you're planning on running for the year for you. You got, about 4 quarters of Ridder film that Marcus and Arthur can watch and chop up, to get ready for the season. And you can't ask for anything better than that, man.
Oh, yeah, no, it's like especially on those play actions where, he's turning his back completely to the defense.
Yeah.
And then when he's spinning back around, he's just confident and letting that ball loose. One of the questions that a lot of people had about Ridder coming out was his arm strength. He's showing you that he's got plenty enough arm strength to make all the throws that he needs to make. And, like I said, to be able to plant his foot and drive that ball and fit it into tight windows, you saw all that last night. All that was on display. Even him running for a first down in the red zone. That has been more of a breath of fresh air than I was willing to admit when we still had Ryan on the roster. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this much. I'm going to owe you a nice fat steak dinner if Ridder and Arthur Smith, both guys you wanted, get us to the Super Bowl and we can actually win.
Oh, man, come on with it.
That night, I'm talking about big old steak that you probably won't be able to finish.
I'll say this, when going through this draft process and watching Ridder, I was like, this is this is Arthur's guy. Everybody, granted, there was no clear-cut QB1 in this draft as it's been well documented. So everybody had their guy. Malik Willis was the flashy guy, and still is. He gives you that wow that I'm, not 100% sure that you're always going to get with Ridder. But he doesn't he doesn't have the command like Ridder has at this junction. So then you had, Kenny Pickett, which here in Atlanta, none of us were real high on Kenny Pickett. Then you were high on Matt Corral. My biggest concern with Corral obviously was, the type of offense that he ran. It seemed like Lane Kiffin was more the brainchild, so to speak, of that success. But we're not going to get to see that, unfortunately, because now Matt Corral is out for the year with a Liz Frank injury, which sucks, but whatever. But going through this process, I felt like Ridder was the guy for Arthur Smith. And, when they chose him, we're like, okay, cool, makes sense, whatever. And now you're really seeing it.
Yeah.
Now the three, 4 practices we went to, I was a little worried because he still seemed like he was a little behind. Which was his problem in college. A little bit behind the receivers, but what we've seen in the preseason as of 2 games so far, he seems to just really be on it, and really turning heads, not just here in Atlanta, but on a national level.
Yeah, he's got Baldinger doing every type of video he can. Just think it's the second video he's done on Desmond Ridder. Like, he's really, Kurt Warner and them. He's got people buzzing about him, and that's what you want.
Yeah.
What you want.
That's it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Marcus ain't done nothing to not be the starter.
Right.
Let's just go ahead and, to me, Marcus has shown you that he has earned the right to be the starter.
Right.
But if and when, Marcus goes down, it might be a Bledsoe situation where Ridder comes in and there's just no looking back.
No looking back.
And I think mentally Marcus is prepared for that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our opening salvo. So let's go ahead and jump into this hopping chat. We're going to start off with Nick Bangalow. He says, "Good evening, fellas. Not worried about the loss. No, I'm not really worried about it. Those penalties need to get cleaned up, straight up and down, that. You had 2 first and goals in the same drive, and you had to settle for a field goal. That's the kind of stuff got to get cleaned up." Bradley Burnett says, "Perfect timing for my drive back to the hotel after work." Hey guys, what's going on, Bradley? Drive safe, brother. That's right. Yeah. We're glad you're here with us. Cindy says, "We can't get at least 1 sack." Yeah, we almost got there, but that was some ticky-tack crap on that penalty on Ogundeji. That was, I didn't like that at all. What was he supposed to do?
Right. Yeah.
Let's see. Wallace Smith says, "What's good, Pound for Pound family? Man, y'all are good. That's what's up." Joe Houston says, "Man, this West Coast offense is about to be deadly." That is an interesting blend. The route concepts they're running out of the, like I said, heavy run formations. It's going to be an interesting one to see. Wallace says, "I think Bernhardt is going to make the roster." I got a feeling he does, and only because I don't think you're going to be able to stash him. At least not initially. You might be able to later on through the season, but I don't think you're going to be able to stash him right away. Rashawn Thomas says, "The boys are back in town. Good game for us, but we do have to clean up some of those penalties." That's my biggest takeaway.
We got to clean up when you get down there at the goal line. We got to score. They showed that stat too. I didn't even know from goal to goal. We were the worst team in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
From goal to goal, punching it into the end zone. And that's where Tyler Algier, to me, can make the biggest difference for the Atlanta Falcons.
And he almost had it last night. He almost, he was real close to getting in last night. Woom Carter, our good buddy Woom, says, "Rise up, Pound for Pound family. Arthur Smith's offense will be very special." I think you're starting to really get to see what he's wanting to do and the type of offense he's trying to create. Wallace says, "I'm going to go ahead and predict that Bernhardt will make the roster because he can play special teams as well." That's going to be his biggest ticket if he shows out on special teams. Dre Murphy says, "I thought Show and sure Alden Tate was going to make the roster, and Geronimo Allison got cut." Yeah, I mean, we weren't throughout camp, Alden Tate never did make it into the.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they just obviously didn't like what they were seeing. Same thing when Geronimo had too many drops.
He started out on the hurt side too, so he started out camp being hurt, the OTAs and stuff. So when he finally got on, he just couldn't get his footing.
Right. Dre says Felipe Franks ain't it at quarterback, though need to leave him in a tight end instead. I agree there. I honestly, I think about it, the more I think about it, the more it was this rain's getting nasty and I'm not trying to get Desmond Ridder hurt. There's no reason to have him out there. And that's what I think it was last night myself.
Yeah, I think so too. But I'll tell you what, man, Michael Pruitt already is starting to get comfortable, man.
Son.
I'm just
Like I'm over here hyping up Parker Hesse. I'm over here hyping up Parker Hesse about like you hyping up Bernhardt. And here come Michael Pruitt just stomping all over my dreams. Dude is looking like that tight end screen. Like the way he come out, blocked his dude, and then turned like, man, it was a thing of beauty. I ain't seen nothing Atlanta run nothing like that, and I don't even know when.
Man, this is gonna be interesting when this tight end group.
Heck yeah, I'm loving what I'm seeing. Jarek Butler says I can see 37 Alford being a legit number 2 corner opposite AJ next year, possible. Every play comes his way, haven't disappointed not so far. No, he hasn't. And he also adds up, Toby, your boy 83, was looking like he belongs.
Yes,
That's a good way to put it. He does look like he belongs. Nick says, what do you do with Franks? Put him back to tight end and leave him there? That's what you do? Like, look, if you need a third arm for this last preseason game, like, I'm sure somebody needs to go on IR and you can just sign somebody for a game. Like, if that's what you're concerned about. But you're going to be in the friendly confines of the Benz on Saturday, so you ain't got to worry about no rain. So we can just let Desmond play. Let's see. Jarek adds, I'm waiting to see what AK-47 and Grady look like on the field together. Yeah, I think AK's look good. He's bringing some pressure. He's getting back in the backfield. Like, he just needs to bring it home. But he's looking good. Billy Ellis says, what's up, guys? What's going on, Billy?
What's up?
Q Falcon says, what's up, Pound for Pound family? Hit that like button, fam. If y'all would like to hit the like button, that would be great. We would appreciate all that good stuff. Like and share, and y'all are obviously commenting. So, yeah. Anyway, keep it rocking. Nick Williams says, does Marcus give you a Hurts type of feel as far as the type of QB play? I can see where you feel. I think, I don't know. I have to say, I haven't watched a ton of Jalen Hurts. So I don't know if it gives me a feel, but it gives me the feel of that new style of quarterback. And it's weird to say that about a guy who's been in the league for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he probably came out in a way, like if he could have been coming out in the last 2 or 3 years, it probably would have worked out better for him. Because his first few years, they were still in that mode of trying to convert everybody into a traditional, pocket quarterback.
Yeah.
Like the league itself hadn't fully embraced the dual threat, mobile, athletic quarterback, which they have done now with, Jackson and Murray and Watson and, Russell and all those guys, Prescott. So that's what the league is going to. And, always viewing it from afar now, it has me excited that we have guys on our roster that can successfully do that now.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's see. Cindy says, I do like Mariota throwing more in the pocket than running in this preseason game instead of risking getting hurt. I did like that. I just like that he put it out there that, hey, I can do it this way too. I think that was good to see. I think it was also good for his confidence. Tony Rice says, what's popping Pound for Pound? What's going on, Tony? Let's see. Hans says something in a language that I cannot pronounce. So I'm just going to keep on moving. Let's see. Tony says the starters on defense looked better last night. The defensive line looked better last night. And I don't know how much of that is like you're going against ones or you're not going against the Detroit line that had 3 first rounders on it. But the defensive line was getting a lot better push last night. Let's see. Chris Jameson says, that touchdown that Oz gave me flashes of Mariota's days in Oregon. And now Jameson knows because he's a Oregon guy up there. I did like that concept. It was almost like a big arc to get to that post. You had Ferkser. Was it Ferkser? No, it was Darby. You were in that stack set. You had Darby running the lower post route, and then you had Oz going all the way across, and Darby cleared out. Oh, getting animated over here. Darby cleared out the middle of the field and gave a real nice big window for Mariota to throw in. So that's that scheme, that we weren't really seeing last year. Nick Williams says Ridder had a nice pocket presence. Felt like Matt was a little too jittery in the pocket. Yeah, and I think it's the lack of escapability really. As far as Matt goes, he's far more traditional. So that's what I was trying to tell y'all last year, and everybody was tripping out about Matt. And like I said, I'm a Matt guy, or I was a Matt guy when he's on my team, in a sense. Like I'm a root for the guys on my team. That's what we always say, right?
That's right.
But you can tell that this scheme is benefited more by a QB that can move.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, what upgrade have we made on the offensive line from last year to this year? Elijah Wilkerson? That's it. And what have they not given up? The starting line has not given up a single sack all preseason.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they faced the second overall pick in Aiden Hutchinson. And they've now faced Jermaine Johnson, who we wanted here in Atlanta. Heck, we wanted him here at the 8th pick.
Yeah.
Right?
It was calling for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and they've held up well. Like, McGarry's playing with a streak that I ain't seen.
Yeah, he angry.
Very. Very angry.
Gonna pick up my fifth year option. I'm taking it out on everybody.
Well, now hopefully he can just, keep that going.
Yeah, because he's gonna have a tough 5-game slate against some tough guys.
Oh yeah. No, we're gonna get a real sense of it game 1.
Yeah.
Against the Saints. Like straight up. Tony says Isaiah Oliver has been practicing at free safety at times. I don't remember seeing Oliver in the game last night.
I don't think he was in the game.
I don't think he was either. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there. They may wanted to take a longer look at D. Alford in that nickel spot, or debate on him or Ford, kind of deal.
Yeah.
Let's see. Big Mel says y'all seen Campbell on the top 100. I'm guessing you mean our Devondre. I don't pay attention to the top 100. That's a weird popularity contest. Because to my understanding, A.J. Terrell wasn't on the top 100, but yet Trevon Diggs was. So, that tells me all I need to know about the top 100 year in and year out. So, but good for Devondre. Like, I like Devondre coming out of college. I thought he was a guy who could do a lot of multiple things for us, and I'm glad he's found a place where he can.
Yeah. I mean, he was one of the guys that Arthur Blank mentioned that they hated they let go. So, I mean, he obviously was a good player for the Atlanta Falcons. We just didn't keep him.
Exactly. I mean, that was in that time of, paying Julio Jones a ton of money and paying Ryan a ton of money and paying Grady and Dion a ton. Like, you're just going to lose some guys every now and again.
Yeah.
Let's see. Keeping on rocking. Andrew says, "What's up, fellas? Rise up. Very excited for Pitts, man. He's about to be even more lethal." Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that one play you saw last night, man, he just absolutely dusted that corner.
Yeah.
Like, a guy that big shouldn't be able to move like that.
And Bryce Hall was like 10 yards off of him. And
still dusted him. Hey, our good buddy Archangel. He says, "Rise up, my guys. I got a feeling Marlon Davidson may not make the 53 due to all the injuries, and it's so unfortunate. Marlon Davidson may be a guy that just ends up on IR this year. And, depending on how they feel about, because that's an easy way for them not to have to make a decision on him, so to speak. Unless they're, like, absolutely convinced, which, I don't think he's going to be on the field for us this year. Our good buddy King Seven's in here. He says, fellas, what's going on, fam? What's going on, King? Same thing with Reggie 2K. What's going on, Reggie? Jerron Wade says, the NFL top 100 is a joke. Campbell is a top 50 player. Not being a hater, just having one B+ season doesn't mean you're a top 100. Yeah, like I said, the top 100 at best is a previous year popularity contest.
Yeah.
Kenyon Davis says, Tez Tabor, anyone? Tabor looked pretty good.
Yep.
He's looking good at that. He's going to make the roster as a backup safety. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I don't know if they keep both. It's going to come down. You got 2 spots for 3 guys. Tez Tabor, Eric Harris, and Dean Marlowe. And
Man,
I'm putting Tez Tabor in there as a lock myself.
That's tough though, man, because all of those guys, Harris has not really been out there a lot. There's been the other guys mainly played more so than anything, but that's gonna be interesting to see how that unfolds when the 53 is final.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tony Wright says, JR and Toby, I saw something that I didn't know that this player was that versatile. The Falcons played Timmy Horn at 3-4 defensive end at times, and he pushed the pocket. Your thoughts? I think Timmy Horn is the reason why, more so than anything else, Marlon Davidson isn't going to be on this roster, in one way, shape, or form. I can't stress this enough. There were so many draft eligible guys last year that guys like Timmy Horn, who were undrafted in next year or the year previously, probably would have been drafted.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me one bit. I didn't catch that with Timmy Horn, but I did note that overall the defensive line looked like they were getting better push yesterday.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Timmy Horn, watching this film, he can play all over the place. Especially in them three-man odd fronts. He's definitely good in that situation as well. So the only thing is it's shocking me right now. And I guess they feel confident they still got some guys to outlast the guys that they're losing. Jalen Dalton went down with an injury, and they waived him with an injury settlement. And he was the guy I had taken over Marlon Davidson's spot, playing in and on the interior as well. So if Timmy Horn or Derek Tangelo or Nick Thurman can, come in and secure a spot, which it looks like that may be where we're headed to, one of those guys locking down a spot with the Atlanta Falcons, then, hey, so be it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Sorry, I was checking Twitter to make sure every now and again. You got to look over there and make sure no news is breaking or nothing like that. Don't want to have to hit that sounder, that anyway. But no, exactly. I even put a tweet out when I saw that Jalen Dalton went on they waived him with an injury. If he doesn't get picked up, he'll revert to IR today as one of their 8 cut or one of the 5 cuts to get down to 80. And I said to myself, I said on the tweet, it's like, man, I said it wouldn't surprise me they're starting to get thin at DT, even more so, with the guys going down, Vincent Taylor going down, Eddie Goldman retiring. Who went down the other day? It was Bryce Rogers. He ended up getting cut, but still, they're losing guys at DT, and so they're probably gonna have to do something, I would imagine. So it'll be interesting to see where they go in that position. Oh, let's see. Reggie 2K says, anybody think Jalen Mayfield took a step back last night? Interesting that you say that. I'm not defending him. Let me just start there. But rewatching that drive where they ended up stalling out at the 1, that was actually a good drive from Mayfield. I was watching him specifically. And he didn't get pushed back. He wasn't blocking air. He was doing what he was supposed to be doing. If there was nobody in front of him to block, he'd look for work. You know what I'm saying? And so, he was doing his duo blocks real well. And then you get down to the goal line and he false starts. So it's like 3 steps forward, 4 steps back with him. And I think he ends up staying on the roster, even if it's I kind of wonder if they just bury him and make him inactive every year and give him like one more year to season, so to speak. But I don't know, man. It's really looking like a bust situation, and it's really making me wonder, like, who's really evaluating this offensive line, like this talent that they're bringing in. Because under this regime so far, you got Drew Dahlman, Jalen Mayfield, and Justin Schaefer. Now,
Right.
Dahlman is obviously locked in a battle with Hennessy, and Dahlman played well last night.
Yeah.
So I'm not counting out Dahlman by any stretch of the imagination. He played well last night. But like Schaefer, when he got put in, he looked like lost and overwhelmed at times. Especially when you go out to, I think it's the Chargers, who took Jameer Slayer. And he's looking like a steal. And you passed over Jameer Slayer to get Justin Schaefer.
Yeah.
So for him to look like he did last night is kind of worrisome. And then obviously you got Mayfield. So really, it was something you said before we went on air. It seems like they value a certain thing over much anything else.
Hey, man, they like that nasty and getting off the snap of the ball quick. Those are two huge traits for Dwayne Ledford.
Right.
They love it. If he can get those two, they feel like they can work with everything else. And then, you got that mobile QB, and that's something Dwayne Ledford used to,
Right.
especially being in Louisville, so he knows how to orchestrate his offensive line around that type of stuff. Now, they had some faltering moments last night. He's a rookie, but I'm just hoping we don't have to rely on either one of them, at least not right now.
Yeah, no. I have been impressed with Elijah Wilkerson. He seems to have come in and really stabilized that left guard spot.
Yes.
So I'm really liking what I'm seeing out of, Matthews, Wilkerson, Lindstrom, and McGarry. Now it's like I really want them to go ahead and just lock down the center spot. And just I wouldn't mind just go ahead and giving it to Dahlman myself. But I will say, like, Hennessy has looked better being put in between Wilkerson and Lindstrom.
Yeah. It looks like they're going to let this thing ride all the way out to the end, Doc. And a decision is probably not going to be made until after this third preseason game. And when they make the final cuts, is probably when a decision will be made.
Right. And I bet you they don't announce it until first snap of the Saints game.
They may not.
But, so we'll be – that's something that we're going to be monitoring. Dre Murphy says, sure was he was one of the ones that was wanting Jermaine Johnson on the team with the 8th overall pick. Yeah, dude, I was right there. And so I was glad to see that was one of the things I was watching last night because McGarry has struggled with speed rushers his whole career. And that's, Johnson's first tool bag is his speed. And he's got a real good, quick first step. And McGarry was able to handle him, extremely well. So, let's see. Mike O says, love that the team is buying in on what Arthur Smith is preaching. You can see that the mentality changed on the field. A. Smith said, getting rid of the sense of entitlement players or something to that effect. Yeah, you can definitely tell that they are playing hard. And I loved seeing Arthur Smith getting fired up, on the sideline. Even though it was preseason, he was still, chewing on behinds. And that's, that's what you want to see.
That expectation.
That's right.
And I love the second game where you've seen him blowing up and on the sideline and doing that. And I'm here for it. That's what I want to see.
Oh yeah, me and you both. That is exactly what I want to see. Like when they false started on that goal line, he went right down the line. Like he chewed out Ridder, he chewed out Fetty, he chewed out Mayfield. Like he chewed them all out.
Like it came near.
Yeah, anybody. He was chewing on everybody, and that's good. Like he even apologized to the media for having to watch a bad second half.
And love it. I love it.
That's it. Let's see. We're gonna keep on moving. Dre Murphy says Bryce Hall was getting cooked, killed, murdered, smoked, picked on. Any other thing you could think? Yes, they had identified Bryce Hall was getting after him. Ray Fitty says Eric Harris played the whole second half last night. Yeah, he did. He did get in some plays. I think you were saying that he hadn't seen him much. But Tony Wright says Taquan Graham will be the starting 3-4 DN. Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, Taquan Graham, like, he's one of the guys that has taken a big, or at least it looks like he has taken a big leap in his second season. Regina Strong says, hello from Carroll County. What's going on, Regina? Jerron Ward says, it's amazing that there could be a tight end who has 90% receiving yards from wide receiver and slot. I mean, that's what he is.
Mm-hmm.
ATLN says, Mary Goda, let go. Let's go. Yeah, I mean, he's going to be your starter, straight up and down. Like, I want to give me a shirt that has that Nintendo-looking Super Mariota. Anyway, I think that would be cool. Let's see, keeping rolling. Mark Turner says Jared Bernhardt going to make the 53. That's what we're hoping for. Y'all are talking to each other. Let's see. Fred Butt says Falcons look dangerous. I don't know if I go that far yet, but they look like they're going to be more competitive, which is what I was definitely asking for this year. Let's see. Tony Wright says, yeah, and the Seattle Seahawks have hit the jackpot twice in this year's draft with Charles Cross and Abram Lucas. I guess I haven't watched a ton of Seahawks. King says, "LL, just tell me who's better than Smith on our team at linebacker. I'll wait." Oh, he was commenting on like trading for Roquan Smith. They're not trading. Like, ain't nobody trading for Roquan. Roquan said that because he's just trying to get more money, and I think they figured it out. I don't think they paid him yet, but I think he's gonna get paid. Like, he's at camp and participating. So, I mean, I'd love to have Roquan here, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah.
Mark Giddy says DQ would have clapped for them on the false start on the goal line. Oh, DQ over here still catching strays. Okay. Speed Falcon for life. Speed. I ain't seen him in a minute. He said, Arthur Smith really has improved his play calling for last season. I'm extremely pleased. I think he's able to get into what he wants.
Exactly. That's the key. He is back. I saw the old Arthur Smith last night with them guys streaking through, the way he was scheming guys open, and they would just streak through the defense wide open and just erasing penalty yards. Like, I remember when I watched the new Smith, I think that Denver Broncos game, I can't remember if it was 2019 or 2020. It was a 2nd and 22. They called it tight end screen, which we've been seeing quite a bit now in last 2 preseason games, and erased all them 22 yards for a first down. And you saw it multiple times last night, just erasing huge penalty yards off big chunk plays.
Well, that was the thing last year, is you weren't able to consistently get those explosive plays. And in today's NFL, yes, you can be balanced. Yes, you can still win with running the ball. You know, aka Baltimore, aka Tennessee. You know, you can still win with running the ball, but you still have to be able to have those chunk plays. You still have to be able to have a way of getting, 20, 25 yards at a time. Because, that's the deal. Like, you lull the defense to sleep with, the intermediate routes, the, runs, the outside runs. You get them going sideways, and then you condense them down and hit them over the top. Like, that's strategy, Let's see. Cody says, judging by Ridder's passes last night, when the torch gets passed down to him, he and Pitts, London, CP, and 17, our offense will be deadly. I am interested to see if he gets the start on Saturday. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like if Ridder actually gets to play with Brian Edwards, with Pitts, with the first team offensive line. So I would like to see that. What do you think about that?
It's possible that could happen, but I think at this point you pretty much made Marcus your guy, and you have to continue the team developing confidence behind that. I would love to see it. I really would. But I think the decision that you've seen Ridder make and how he's been carrying on about his business leaves me very confident with him, what he's been doing against these second and third stringer guys. So I'm not too concerned about his ability to play with the first stringers because he's done it a lot in camp.
Right.
And really, practice is where it starts. If you can't do it in practice, as Jimbo would always say, you can't do it in practice, then what makes you think I'm going to have confidence in you doing it in a game? And he's played with the first stringers a lot already. We haven't seen it on the field in a live game, but he's done that in camp with those first stringers, and that could happen. Like I said, it could happen. Depends on how these practices go. Right. But you need to get them out there as much as possible. Now, I wouldn't doubt if Marcus didn't play 2 quarters this time and Ridder takes the last.
So you're thinking like Mariota taking the first half and Ridder taking the second half?
I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't doubt it either. Like I said, especially being in the, I honestly think that what changed their plans last night was the weather. Honestly,
that's what
Let's see. Mactown Mike says we were trying to do something different last night with the running game, not as effective, not super effective, but it's still like not super effective, and you still ended up with 115 rushing yards. So if that's not an effective night, I'm not saying I'm okay with it, but that's a far cry from what we're used to seeing on a not effective run night.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No,
I was going to say, and you were still able to get effective runs with Algier, like especially down there close to the goal line. You were able to get, like, Quadre wasn't running as well as he did against Detroit, but he still had some better runs. But all in all, your throwing was what was moving the ball last night.
Yeah, and we got to remember, this is what they call like the third install period of your offenses and defenses and stuff like that. So they're installing bits and pieces. So that's why last week you saw them focusing on something. Then this week they focus more on the passes and the deep shots and stuff. So now this week, I think you see it all put together. Now you won't see Marcus Mariota running everything because they don't want to show all of that before week 1. But you will see Desmond Ridder performing a whole lot more this time around and bringing all of that stuff together. But I tell you what, some of that stuff they've been executing pretty well, like them tight end screens and them boot play action rollout plays. They've normally been doing that pretty doggone well.
Yeah, I'm liking what I'm seeing there. Van Ball says, I think we can have a better season than last year, to be honest, and should definitely be on the lookout for D. Alford, a stud. I think there's a chance that I don't know if our better year will translate into more wins, but I do think that we are going to be I think the games are going to be a lot more competitive this year than they were last year. Mark Turner says, from coaches down, I see a spark this year that hasn't been there in a long time. Now the team is having fun. Yeah, like I kind of get that feeling. Like you don't have any of the superstardom weight that can like drag a team down. With the Joneses and the Ryans and like the heavy expectations of like after 2016. Like every year was like, well, they should, get back to the playoffs. They should be, challenging for a Super Bowl. And I almost think that got to be just too much to bear for them. I don't know. I could be off base on that one. Speed says, I really do believe we have significantly improved at QB with Mariota and Ridder. Ryan just made our offense look so bad last year. It's hard for me to agree, but I understand what you mean. Like, I really do. Hey, our good, friendly bot people are back. Let's hide. Let's get rid of that. Let's getting rid of that. Don't need to see that. Anyway, all right. But I understand what you mean. Like, I really do. But I just don't think what Arthur Smith want, like in his heart, what his vision meshed with what Ryan was good at doing. And so it just round, square, peg, hole kind of deal.
I mean, and like I said before, you can't have two bosses on the field at the same time. And Ryan's definitely a boss. You heard it a lot with Frank Wright, who has no problem with Matt Ryan running the show over here. He's basically stepped aside and let Matt Ryan, get in them guys' butts and get them to executing at a high level. Whereas Arthur Smith, he wants to be the king, and he wants to be the guy to have guys that really buy in and will do what he envisions and wants to see. And that just wasn't him and Matt Ryan.
Nope.
In my opinion.
I think like Matt did that with Shanahan. And yes, they had success, but I don't think it was, you can be successful and also be like extremely just unhappy with what you're doing.
That and what you just said, JR, wow, I didn't even
think know what I'm saying?
That is great what you just said.
Yeah, like you can be successful in life and be miserable. And
because wasn't the issue that him and Kyle Shanahan was having? That come to a compromise about Kyle wanting to run the offense the way he wanted, and Matt wanted to do some things too, and they had to come to a compromise. Over JR, I forgot all about.
And so like you have a situation where Matt's already went through that, right, with Shanahan, and then you got Smith coming in here. Now this ain't just the OC, this is the HC. You know what I'm saying? This is the head coach. This is the man in charge, like truly in charge. And Matt Ryan might have just been like, you know what? Whatever, I'm done in that sense, and then not having for the first time in his career, not having the backing of the owner, really,
right?
That he had enjoyed before. Anyway, look, I'm not rehashing all that again. That's a guy that's not on our team no more. All right, wish him success as long as he ain't playing us. Mark says, Toby and Jared, I told y'all Vrabel held Mariota back when he was in Tennessee trying to get him to play like Brady. Okay. There's something in that aspect I want to, that caught my attention when listening to, press conferences or what have you, or seeing little things pop up on Twitter. There might be some more truth to that than we realize. Okay? And what I mean by that is Malik Willis, his first start out there, he's running around like crazy and all this other jazz. And when they were interviewing Vrabel seemed upset about that. Like, he seemed like, no, I want my quarterback, per se that's great that you can do all that, but we need to win from the pocket, so to speak. And so there might be some serious truth to what you're saying there. And also might lend to the credence why Arthur Smith was more than willing to bring Mariota here in Atlanta, And also you got to figure out that Mariota went through 3 or 4 different offensive coordinators. And so, yeah. Anyway, Bradley Burnett says, I was so happy to see our coach chew out players and hold them accountable. How long has it been since we had that? 25 years? Possibly. I don't think I ever remember seeing Dan Quinn really chew anybody out.
Yeah, Mike Smith used to.
Oh, yeah, Mike, yeah.
Boy, that used to be red.
Oh, yeah,
boy.
you tell when he got upset. It started rising up.
Yeah, boy.
Dream Conundrum says, having a QB who can run for his life might help with a bad O-line. It's not going to, absolutely cover a bad O-line, but if in your play designs, you have pockets rolling out and you have launch points from different spots and things like that, all that can help in a bad O-line. So we'll see. When the thing starts, we will truly see. Tony says, JR and Toby, do either of you think that we will sign another 3-4 D end or another D tackle? Toby?
I don't know, man. I mean, they haven't rushed to doing that to this point, but they still got time, though, because you got 2 weeks to prepare for New Orleans. So you have time even after roster cuts.
Well,
to somebody in.
You also got to think it was a week or 2 in when we signed Anthony Rush and Mike Pennell last year. And then they spent 4 or 5 weeks on the practice squad getting up to speed.
Yeah.
So they could. I would expect them to, but they, who knows? Joe Houston says, I bet money we're going to have a top 10 offense. The playbook will be wide open. If it's a top 10 offense, it's going to depend a lot on Drake London and Pitts. Kyle Pitts, just really starting to dominate.
Man.
Chris James says $100 million can buy you a heck of an O-line. Yeah, that may be their plan next year. Stephen Bernard says, I was pretty impressed with Atlanta during the first half, except for the penalties. I think that's the way everybody, kind of feels on that one. Antonio Holloway, Marcus looks fully healthy. That he does. I will say these, maybe that's 2 years in the Raiders has given him the opportunity to really get his body right. Speed Falcon says, I can't wait for week 1. We are going to beat those Aints. That is the hope. Prove It says, bring in Sue. That's where I made that slip. You know what? I don't know, man. Sue is he's a 4-3 guy. I don't know. I just don't know if it'll be a good fit, really. Cash Luster says, we need another D tackle bad. We're starting to get thin there, that's for sure. Stefan says, I believe Atlanta will be a Cinderella time or surprise everyone. I mean, look, nobody thought the Bengals were going to be in a Super Bowl. It can happen. And arguably the NFC is the side for it to happen on.
Yeah.
Outside of the Bucks and who else is San Francisco, maybe?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what, in our division, the quarterbacks look very pedestrian.
Yeah. You got Baker Mayfield up north, up 85. You got Crab eating, eating Winston down in Stinky Town. And then you got old man Brady, who just spent a month off, down there in Tampa Bay. So, Cash, he reminded me of the Rams. For some reason, I was thinking the Rams were AFC. I know the AFC is absolutely stacked. So in that aspect, I feel for Ryan trying to get everybody's hopes up, and then you in this stacked side of the NFL trying to get to the Super Bowl. You got to go through Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. Jeez. Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. Anyway, Tony Wright says, J.R. Toby, I believe the Aints will struggle offensively because offensive coordinator Sean Payton is no longer there. See, but you're forgetting about Pete Carmichael, who was, Sean Payton's right hand forever. So we're going to see. I'm not willing to count them out just yet. I want them to be down.
Me too.
I want them to be down something serious. I'm just not willing to count them out just yet. Let's see. Dre and Speed are talking back and forth. They are all having conversations. Well, end the conversations. Kings Evans says, I feel Marcus is a bit better than Ridder, but I feel Ridder can handle pressure a bit better than Marcus in the pocket. I think Ridder is just more poised and ready for all the smoke. He does have a very seasoned air to him. Ridder does. And you had the comment from Smith today talking about, he's hard on Ridder. They're not treating him like a rookie.
Yeah.
They know that they need to figure out what they got in Ridder.
Right.
Whether it's him playing or not, taking those live bullets, so to speak, they need to know what he can handle, what he is actually made of.
Yeah.
Because if they find themselves in a top 5, top 10 pick next year, and you're staring in the face of Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Will Levis, the kid from Boston College who's got a name that long, you have to know, you have to be confident that what you got, is better than that. You see what I'm saying? So they ain't got time to treat him like a rookie. They got to know. They got to know what they got. Because, like I said, that's going to be a question that they're going to have to answer next year. As soon as the last snap is taken, it's going to be, all right, you taking a quarterback or not? Like, depending on how Mariota plays, depending on what, like, Ridder does behind the scenes, or if he does actually get into live action. Like, they're going to have to know. Let's see. Dream says, who's going to be the blocking tight end this season in all those short yardage situations? Michael Pruitt, Anthony Fersker, Parker Hesse, and you're going to use Keith Smith. You may not. Like, I don't think, like, you look at his time in Tennessee, Arthur Smith doesn't want a designated blocking tight end. He wants tight ends that can do it all.
Yeah, that's right.
So that he can mix up those coverages, or not coverages, mix up the play calls, get you thinking that Michael Pruitt's going to stay in and deliver a block and he slips out for a tight end screen. Like, that's what we're looking for. That's what they want. Yes, I know they had one last year. They had one in Lee Smith last year. But they also had, like, a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
Now, you got John Fitzpatrick, who's a 7th rounder out of Georgia. But, like,
I don't think he's cracking it. I think he's practice squad.
He's going to be practice squad.
Yeah.
You know, he's primarily a blocking tight end. That's what he did for Georgia. But, yeah, that's what that is. Let's see. Steven says the Falcons know that Ridder can be a great QB, and that's why they are hard on him. He could take it. That's what they got to think. They got to find that out. Speed says Desmond Ridder is the future, and it would be stupid if we drafted a quarterback next year. All I'm saying is that is the question that they are going to have to answer next year. If you find yourself with a top 10 pick 2 years in a row, and, you know, if by the end of the season we're going, well, neither one of these guys really, like, took us over the top, you know, Minnesota's having answered that with Kirk Cousins year in and year out. So, yeah. Let's see. Trying to see if there's anything. Okay, Prove It says, y'all see Coach Smith smiling like the Grinch on that Felipe run. Oh, yeah, dude, you talking about physical. Like, Felipe is definitely embraced. That's why I say just move him back to tight end and just let him flourish there. Like, you got a gadget player in your back pocket if you want to do some interesting things, but just let him flourish at tight end. Let's see. Eric Thomas says we need line work. Stop looking for a unicorn at quarterback to do everything. Yeah, I would love to, like, build the O-line and D-line, honestly. That would be my choice. Like, if we're in the top 10 next year and you got Will Anderson sitting there, like, snap him up in a heartbeat. Especially if he has the year I kind of think we're going to have. Or he's going to have, rather. Well, my guys, man, we have bumped up well over an hour now. And I think we've covered everything. Is there we miss anything?
I can't think of anything, man. I think we covered our bases pretty much.
All right. Well, I will be at the game on Saturday, so if y'all see me say what's up, you'll know it's me because the back of my jersey says Grim on it. So, you know, just look for the big portly guy running around with a Grim jersey on. As always, y'all can catch me on Twitter. I'm at Grim1128, GRIMM1128. Toby?
D1991, baby.
There you go. And as always, Falcons fans, like, I was going to do the whole Rise Up thing, but I forgot to, like, you know, you got the Patreon link if you want it, merch if you want it. Trying to remember anything else. Keep your eye on the channel as we will be probably putting out something for this weekend. And yes, now, as always, Falcons fans, rise up.
Right.